a locomotive engineer at BNSF, wasn't feeling well but postponed a doctor's appointment because he was called to work and didn't want to be penalized. A few weeks later, he died of a heart attack.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
One more story on the theme of Workers' Memorial Day. Last week, the National Council for Occupational Safety and Health, National COSH, announced the council's annual list of 12 employers whose unsafe practices put the health and lives of workers as well as the safety of communities at risk, known as the Dirty Dozen. Railroad Workers United submitted a nomination for the Class 1 railroads, the Class 1 railroad employers, for their lack of safety, their lack of support for their workers when it comes to safety and health. And the National COSH agreed. The National COSH placed the big Class 1 railroads among them after being nominated for the distinction by Railroad Workers United in February. In a statement from Railroad Workers United, the General Secretary, Jason Doring, says, rail workers have for years been blowing the whistle on unsafe practices of Class 1 railroads. These employers have pushed for single-person crews, implemented precision scheduled railroading, where cost-cutting measures have resulted in longer, heavier trains with fewer workers, while cutting back on both inspections and maintenance. Put in place disciplinary policies forcing sick workers into work, failed to offer paid sick time, and continued their long-standing practice of retaliating against rail workers who report safety hazards and job-related injuries. And they also mentioned that the East Palestine disaster really kind of brought folks' attention to what railroad workers have been warning about for years, for decades. From that report, the National COSH mentioned a witness from a railroad worker, the last name of Cox, saying that precision scheduled railroading has cut the workforce to the bare minimum. I have witnessed railroads, according to this worker, demanding 1 minute per car safety inspections. 1 minute per car, 60 seconds. They also say that over 6 years, the Class 1 freight rails have reduced staff by 30%. By 30%, eliminating 45,000 jobs. Norfolk Southern's train accident rate, meanwhile, measured by the Federal Railway Administration, increased by 25% just between 2019 and 2022. They're cutting staff. Accidents are increasing, and meanwhile, the company is posting record profits just in 2022, and just in profits, not in operating revenue. I'm talking about profits. They got $4.8 billion with a B in profits. Aaron Hiles, a locomotive engineer at BNSF, wasn't feeling well but postponed a doctor's appointment because he was called to work on short notice and didn't want to be penalized under the company's strict attendance policy. A few weeks later, on June 16th, 2022, he died of a heart attack in the engine room of a freight train. In December of 2022, tens of thousands of rail workers were ready to go on strike to win paid sick leave among some of these other fights, but were denied the right to take job action by President Biden and Congress under the terms of the Railway Labor Act. And so those are just some of the reasons for why the National COSH agreed that they deserved, that the big Class 1 railroads deserved the indistinction of being among the Dirty Dozen worst employers for occupational safety and health last year. Really pretty gross stuff. Pretty gross stuff. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.